So how nodes interact with the browser, and how Domino server is different from Apache, IIS, and other normal web server. Actually, there's two big components in Domino server. One is it's a still traditional HTTP server, but there's another component called Domino Web Engine. So when you try to hit a node's databases in URL, the HTTP server will deliver the request to Domino URL parser. So the Domino URL parser will determine it's the normal request for the file system or the request for the node's database itself. If he's saying, oh, it's for node's database, he will handle it to the command handler. The command handler will behave like a node's client. He will translate the HTTP request into the node's request and forward it to node's databases. And node's databases, if he either can serve the data from his database itself, or he can talk to the relational databases and put the data from there. Okay, here is the very typical nodes and URL syntax. You need to have a database name. You need to have the nodes object. And for every object, there's quite a few actions associated with every object. You can pass the arguments to the object and action. There's two ways to open, actually three ways, sorry I forgot one. And there's three ways to open the databases. You can either by the using database name itself, you can use the universal ID. Universal ID is 32nd hex digit generated by node Domino itself. So the first 16 is a random number. The last 16 is related to the time when you create the databases. And the third one is I didn't write here. Actually, you can access the database by application ID. Okay. And here it's a small table talking about the common object and action used by web application, Domino web application. So databases, that the open server means you can give a list of databases hosting in that Domino. And view, when you search view, you can search the document inside the view. Navigator, actually view, every database has at least one view. And view, you can list, can give you a list of all documents in the databases. But you can apply some selection criteria to the view, so it can give you only partial of them. Navigator. Navigator basically will give you a list of a visible view, which means not hidden view on the databases. And that's an interesting action called read entries. The read entry for the navigator, basically he will return the list of visible view in SNL format. So if you're a pen tester, you try this, you can do something on it. Again, document is straightforward, create, edit, save. And again, read view entry can give you a list of a document in one view, but in SNL format. Agent is a standalone program inside the nodes. And you can, it's similar to Java class or Java object. So, but you can program this agent in Node script or Java, and then he can talk to the resource outside of the Node's databases. Actually, Domino itself provides a very good access control model. He has a 5-level authorization track: server level, databases level, view level, document level, and field level. So if you want to access a document, you need to pass the level before it. For example, if I ever said Jian has no access on the database level, even I explicitly given the reader access in a document, it's not going to work. The databases level will deny. The deny decision on the upper level always override the lower level. And sure that when you have a public access in the database level, but you still not list my name in the document access, I still am not able to get the document and access the document. Okay. Here's my favorite topic. So every node's databases have an access control list. This access control list will determine what user can get what privilege and can perform what tasks on these databases. And there are 7 access levels. From the most permissive to the least, it's a manager to no access. Manager, basically you have a full access, but no access means only authenticate nodes user or the internet user use the SSL client certificate can access this database. Anything else, you cannot access these databases. For each level, you have a access option. You can customize it. The right side again, it's an example. And there are 2 very interesting entries in the access control list. One called anonymous, one called default. Default will always present that, but anonymous is not by default. So anonymous access level basically means the default access level for unauthenticated user. And default access level is for the authenticated user. However, if you not specify anonymous group, all anonymous user or unauthenticated user will get the default level. That's the biggest issue for all nodes security. So, and also every node's database have a feature called maximum internet and password access, which means when you try to access the node's database over the internet, when you have this value set, you cannot get the privilege greater than maximum value, even you have a higher access level in databases. For example, I have a managed level access in the node's ACL. However, the maximum internet and password access is a reader. So when I try to access this database over internet, use the name and password authentication, I cannot get manager access at all. I only get the reader access. But if I use the SSL client authentication, then I can get the manager access. So it only works for the name and password authentication. But I think it's a good feature though. So if you want to do further restriction to the field level and document level, you can conjunct it with the reader field, author field, and as list of the document or the field itself. So basically, I would say nodes really provide very the granularity of the access control, which I didn't see anything similar for other applications and other languages and other platforms. Here it's an example about the web access nodes databases ACL.